Hello friends, welcome to this video. Today I'm continuing on with my Wings of Fire Tribe Gen series. If you've been watching these videos, you know we're missing an integral part of the story. And if you haven't been watching these videos, basically I'm essentially making like a world of multiple tribes, and each tribe that I've made comes with a bit of a story behind it. So the main conflict of a previous tribe that I've made on this channel, called the ScorchWings, is there is another tribe invading their homeland, which is the desert. And I haven't made that invading tribe yet. So today is the day we're making the villains of the story, but of course, we can't make it that black and white, so I'm really excited to delve into their story. Why are they invading the desert? Are they actually evil, or do they have their reasons? So yeah, that's what we're doing today. As always, if anybody has additional ideas for more Wings of Fire videos, more Tribe Gen videos, I'd love to hear them. I absolutely adore seeing your guys' comments, engaging with the story, suggesting more things, and it's awesome. All right, so here we go. This tribe, which I don't currently have a name for, but I'll definitely think of one by the end of this video. Anyway, this tribe lives in plains. This immediately makes me think of Pentala, which is mostly like grassland, Serengeti type stuff. So that kind of already has ideas kicking. Anyway, they're also an omnivorous tribe. They have a normal-sized body with small curving horns. This tribe has feathers on their lower front leg and neck, and some of this tribe can sense metals and control electricity. This tribe does have animuses, and there are currently 2 alive, which automatically makes them a formidable enemy, right? And with the ScorchWings, I kind of already had this idea that their enemy is a lot stronger than they are, and if they have 2 animuses, then heck yes, they have a lot of firepower. Alright, so whenever I'm making one of these tribes, I immediately take their environment into account, because all of the Wings of Fire tribes have like something that makes them really good at surviving in their own environment. So I had ideas kicking around, but I was still like, what do I do for plains? Plains are like flat, there's an open space, like what do I do with that? But I kind of immediately then started thinking of animals that are in the grasslands of Africa. So the first thing that came to mind was actually wild dogs. And then when I started thinking of wild dogs, I thought of maned wolves, which are not from Africa, they're from South America, which I didn't know until today. But anyway, those actually used to be my favorite animal for the longest time. They have these really long legs. I'll show a picture. So they can like see over the grasses and pounce on things. And basically I was like, okay, I'll make a long-legged dragon. And to me it also makes sense because since the plains and grasslands don't have a lot of like height that you can get to, these dragons are always gonna have to take off from the ground. So I imagine them like having to pick up speed running, and then they take off running. So it would be good for them to have long legs, even though when they're hunting, they might be primarily using their wings. And of course, they can always like stalk through the grasses and be able to see over the grass with their long legs too. Another big thing about this tribe's design is the fact that they have feathers. That's really unique. None of the other tribes have anything like that. And the feathers being on the head and neck, and then the lower forelegs, makes me think of a lion, which are also, you know, grassland dwellers. But one interesting thing about lions' manes is the males have them to protect them in fights from other lions, right? Like, if you think of it, if 2 male lions are fighting, you know, it's going to be harder to get their teeth around their opponent's throat, or for their opponent to get their teeth around their own throat, because of all that hair, right? So you go for the trachea, you're just gonna get a mouthful of hair. I hope that's not too morbid. I mean, Wings of Fire is kind of a violent series, so hopefully everybody is okay with talk like that. Anyway, I basically end up giving them sort of a lion's mane, but also something really reminiscent of griffins. I kind of fudge the description a little bit, and I make the feathers kind of go all over their neck, chest, and forelegs, just because I thought that was visually better. But anyway, thinking about the function of a lion's mane starts me thinking about their society. Like, a lion's mane is for fighting other lions. So their feathers could be protection for fighting other dragons, which makes me think they're a very, like, not a warlike society, but they value, like, physical fighting, and that's kind of a big part of their culture, is like duels and stuff. And then the last main thing that stood out to me about their description was the fact that some of them can sense metals. And there we go, the RNG gave me a perfect reason why they would invade another tribe. If they're a tribe that can sense precious metals, and there's a lot of precious metals in the desert, and they need those precious metals for something, perhaps something very important, that would be a really good reason for them to want to invade the desert. So those were, I think, the main points of the design and the thoughts about their society is they dwell in the plains, they have a very, like, not warlike culture, but they value fighting and they value duels, and they highly covet metals and they need them. I was also going to make them really bright because when I think of feathers, I think of like hummingbirds with like bright colors and stuff. But yeah, it just wasn't meant to be. You can see here they end up looking really ominous, which in the end I think was a good thing because of they're kind of like the villain of the story, although again, it's not going to be that simple. So it's good that they look scary, but also the main reason why they look like this is because of the music I was listening to at the time that I was painting them. So I can show you. I can't play it, but I can show you what song I was listening to, and yeah, they didn't end up with color. And if you needed any more evidence of like what mood I was in when I was painting these guys, they have like a skull head. Like the top part of their head is this bone color. So yeah, I was in a spooky mood when I was painting them. All right, so now that I have basically how they look done, I just need to, render. I don't know if you can quite call it rendering because I don't go hyper realistic. Like the style is definitely maybe semi-realistic. I don't know. It's hard because it's a fantasy creature. Anyway, basically now is the time where I get to think about their story. Why are they doing what they're doing? What's their culture like? What's their society like? And this is kind of like one of my favorite parts about these videos. All right, so this tribe, I'm tentatively deciding to name them Gyre Wings. Specifically Gyre as in Lammergeier, as in bearded vulture, as in probably one of the most badass birds that you'll ever find in the world. Just because the way their feathers are on their heads and necks really reminds me of a vulture, especially a bearded vulture. And Gyre is the part of their name that means vulture, because Lammergeier means lamb vulture. So Lammer is like the lamb part and Gyre is the vulture part. Just to double check, I did look up Gyre in Google Translate German to English, and it does mean vulture. So yes. And I feel like this is cool because not only are they vulture looking because of their heads and their feathers, but if you think about what they do in this story, they try to come in and steal the territory of the ScorchWings. It's like, so good. Of course, usually people in the comments come up with like even cooler names than I can come up with, so feel free to put name suggestions in the comments. All right, so when I think of Gyre Wing Society, it reminds me a lot of Vikings. I mean, the pop culture version of Vikings. I'm not like one of those people who knows everything about Vikings. I just like them. Anyway, this tribe values prowess and fighting skills. And while many of the members of this tribe are not fighters, the warriors are the members of the tribe that are kind of not necessarily lauded, but like looked on with a lot of respect. Becoming a warrior is a really good way to give your family upward mobility, because in the ranks of the warriors, you're judged and promoted based on merit and not on blood. I also mentioned that duels are really important in this tribe, not only for settling disputes, but also almost as like a ritualistic or performance type thing in their culture. If they have holidays and feasts, it's accompanied by duels. If there's a birth, a wedding, a funeral, they can duel, and it's like part of the celebration. And it's not necessarily antagonistic. It's almost like sport. It's like a competition. It's like football in America or soccer in any other country. This tribe also very much values the magical abilities that their tribe members can have. So if you're born with the ability to sense metals, control electricity, or even animus power, you're like skyrocketed up the food chain basically. But at the same time, when that happens, a lot of pressure is put on you as a dragon with a special ability, which I'm kind of foreshadowing the next video that I'll make about these guys, which is about one main character from this tribe. I like already have so many ideas about her, but moving on. The most interesting or unique thing about this tribe, I think, is that they actually need metal to survive. Metal is a main component of their eggshells and their claws and their teeth. So these dragons actually need to eat metal every once in a while as part of a balanced diet. And while they don't require precious metal to be healthy, naturally having precious metal in your diet is going to make you like more flashy. So if you eat a lot of gold, your claws and teeth are going to be gold. If you eat like flint or something, or like iron, your claws and teeth are just black. So that brings us to kind of the tipping point of the story, the crux of what's happening in the world. The gyre-wings are out of metal. Their mining parties and their search parties are coming back with less and less metal. Dragons are scrambling to hoard as much as they can, and the bulk of the new metal coming in is only being sold to families that have female dragons that need the metal to lay their eggs. The poorest dragons are even having a hard time getting their eggs to survive because the price of metal is at an all-time high. So they have to do something about it. They have to look outside their territory for metal. Now, some of this tribe can sense metal, and so these tribe members are going out with the search parties every day, but for most of them, their power is only strong enough to pick up the presence of metal from a couple miles away. So they have to venture further and further, they're out longer and longer, and some of their search parties are even getting attacked by other tribes. The situation looks really bleak until our main character for this tribe is born. I don't want to talk too much about her, but she is a metal sensor, and her power is pretty strong. So she is the one who senses the presence of large metal deposits in the desert. And luckily for this tribe, the dragons of the desert aren't very warlike at all. So they invade. What else can they do? Let their babies die? Watch as the unhatched eggs start to crumble? As I've mentioned before, they easily overwhelm the ScorchWings. I think it is kind of interesting that the way their face kind of looks skull-like is very intimidating, and this probably also contributes to the ScorchWings kind of just running away, essentially. I mean, plus they have animuses in some dragons who can control electricity, so yeah, the gyre-wings dominate at first. But then when the ScorchWings start to fight back with their smoke screens and their ability to attack at night, it gets pretty intense. Just talking about the conflict makes me really want to draw a piece of like a ScorchWing and a gyre-wing locked in combat. I think that would just be so cool. Especially with like the desert background and like the sand flying everywhere from the force of the struggle. I think that that could be really cool. Also, if anyone else wants to draw that, feel free. You can tag me. I'm on Instagram all the time. It's at a bookworm draws, just like on here. But that's pretty much the story of the gyre-wings, guys. Every tribe I make, I'm like, oh, this is my favorite tribe, and The Gyre-wings are no exception. It was such a blast to draw them, and I can't wait to tell the story of the main character of this tribe. As always, feel free to make a Gyre-wing of your own. Someone mentioned in the last Tribe Gen video that this would be kind of a cool world to have a Discord RP server. I've never run one, but I'm just putting it out there to see what you guys think, so that we could kind of all tell our own stories in this world. Alright, to wrap up, I'm honestly really proud of this painting. I went ham on it because I was listening to some awesome music, and I hope you like this tribe. Do you think they're justified in trying to take the ScorchWing's territory? Let me know, and as always, feel free to share your ideas for more videos. I hope this one was entertaining for you, and since this is coming out December 21st, happy holidays to everybody. Was this like a good Christmas gift, having a brand new fan tribe? I don't know. Alright, as usual, I'm rambling, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you around.